Newsroom at 7520790. It's 9:10. I'm Mike Percha. Now here's WNEM First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro.
Your Thursday has a high of 68 degrees, partly to mostly sunny skies. Just some patchy frost still possible in our northwestern zones on this Thursday morning. As we head into today, though, with partly to mostly sunny skies, any frost and any fog, too, that'll be burning off pretty quickly. We'll just have a light and variable wind through today. For tonight, a low of 46 degrees, patchy fog possible again. Our northwestern zones, instead of falling down into the middle to lower 30s, we're just expecting you to land around 38 to 39. So you should be able to just avoid that level of frost concern. However, again, that patchy fog still possible. For Friday, 72, mostly sunny. Saturday, that'll be 73 with showers moving in into the evening. Better chance of showers on Sunday. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matthew Mondro.
Right now, it's 53 degrees at WSGW.
Now, the only local radio talk show offering you the chance to ask your questions and express your opinions from around your block to around the world. The Art Lewis Show is on 100.5 and 790 WSGW and online, WSGW.com. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center.
Good morning. This is Kareem sitting in for Art Lewis on the Art Lewis Show. I am so glad to be with you on this morning in the studio with Jonathan. John, what's going on this morning?
Hello.
Hey, there is a lot that is happening in the world today. I woke up and everything has gone awry. The country has gone mad. But no, this morning I woke up and I was looking at the announcement that Mitt Romney made on yesterday that he is no longer going to seek re-election.
Oh, really?
But yes, absolutely. And Mitt Romney is one of those guys who has been able to effectively work across the aisle, both with Democrats and Republicans. So I'm actually kind of sad to see someone who is a common sense politician to some degree, if there is such a thing, to go. But the scathing remarks that he gave in terms of why he's going is what's so crazy. He's saying that there are very few members in his caucus that yet believe in the Constitution.
Really?
Yes, yet believes in Constitution. He said neither the Democratic lead, Joe Biden, nor what looks like to be the presumable lead for the Republicans, Donald Trump. Neither of them are doing anything to really deal with the real issues that exist, which I happen to agree with in terms of the national debt, inflation. He talked about, climate change, all of the things that matter to the American people. Folks are tied up in politics, and he just, says that this far right Trump party end of the party is really just making it impossible for real legislation to take place as it relates to his caucus. What do you think about that, Jonathan?
Well, I think it's interesting coming from Mitt Romney of all people saying
he's from Utah.
Saying that people are getting away from the Constitution. It's just he was involved in a heck of a lot of that. So.
What are you I have no idea what you're talking about, Jonathan. I'm just confused. Mitt is a great guy.
You think so? I know quite a lot of people who would disagree.
No, I think that sometimes when we're frustrated with how things, the normal ebb and flow of things happen, we often have issues, and I think that is kind of what it is. There is a certain way that we have expected and do expect government to run, and folks who have been there for a while are seeing what is a shifting in the dynamics in terms of how you get things done and what politics now looks like. One of the things that I will say is that I'm really interested in saying, do you think that we have entered into a place where the politics of the past and the politicians of the past are losing their understanding of how America now works in terms of this political scene?
In terms of politicians or people?
People. There's a gap, a chasm between the people and the old politicians of past.
I think that's been happening for a long time where we no longer understand let alone stick to. We no longer understand the principles of that our country was founded on, and so it's no wonder that we've kind of gotten away from that. Like the system was designed to be adversarial, and it was designed to be one branch against another and in order to limit the power. And so we see a lot of collaboration now between these branches and between, I won't say between parties, but we weren't supposed to have a party system to begin with, according to many.
So you think we're supposed to look a little bit more like what Parliament looks like, where we're hacking each other and going off? And I mean, because honestly, I think that politics are becoming more adversarial. I think the nation is becoming polarized, and
it is becoming more, it has always been verbal yelling
absolutely
matches,
always.
But I think that is becoming more and more down to the less and less at the level of Congress and more at the level of the common people. But it was always supposed to be adversarial to limit each other's power. It was supposed to be, if I don't want you to get too strong because that means I'm weak, and you don't want me to get too strong because that means you're weak. So we're going to work against each other to limit each other's power. That's how our government was set up.
For those who think that life is ending, we will march on.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll tell you something that I want to talk about with you, Jonathan. And I thought about you when I first heard about this. And that is the story on Mel Tucker. Have you been aware of anything that I'm sure you've seen the releases, what's happening, that kind of thing with him?
Unfortunately, no.
You have not. Okay. For those of you, and this is, I'm a Michigan State alumni.
Oh, yes.
Their head coach. And so Mel Tucker, who really, I'm kind of really just bothered by this as a Spartan. And then I'm also bothered by this as a Black man who really celebrated what he was able to really pull together in terms of becoming a head coach of a premier conference, coaching Michigan State. That's no small hill of beans. It may not be the Michigan program, but we probably won't be for some time. But seeing him be able to be seated in that position and, coming in after D'Antonio, and I was really excited about what it could possibly mean and what he might be able to represent to the young men that were playing for him. And to see, there's this woman that they brought in that is responsible for really talking and bringing awareness to sexual assault and harassment, those types of issues, now having a case against him for the very thing that she's come into. I think it's really a big letdown, I think, for the university, for the program, for a number of people. And I began to think about the fact, wait a minute, this guy's married, he's got 2 kids. They've been plastered all over the world because this is such a big move in terms of seeing an African-American man in that role. And I was thinking to myself, what are his kids experiencing? It's not always about football and politics to me, but I think about those other things. What are those 2 young boys thinking, and how are they coping with this, being in Lansing, the seat of everything, and having to deal with hearing, their dads, they're not little kids, they're teenage boys, plastered all over the place with the things that they're dealing with. And I was just really kind of disappointed by what we were seeing. But when you read the story, what was the first thing that you were thinking about, Jonathan?
I'm a little bit jaded. I think working in news kind of pulls.
You can't be jaded. You're too young to be jaded.
I'm pretty cynical. It was, I don't know. It's just kind of one of those. Yeah, it's terrible to see that side of humanity, especially when it's people in power kind of taking advantage of that position, allegedly.
Yeah. Let's make sure we say allegedly.
Let's get that out there. But yeah, it happens, and it's terrible that it happens, and we try to make it not happen.
I'll tell you this. I started getting messages probably about 2:00 in the morning on Sunday morning. So I was like, what in the world is, I'm reading these articles and I'm reading, comments that people are making, some of which were attorneys and sports enthusiasts that really are part of the Michigan State brand. And I'm looking at this like going, what in the world is going on? And so as I began to read the details of the report, there's some interesting things that are here, because he says that this was a relationship between 2 consenting adults. And when you look at the fact that she says she was so appalled by him and you see the number of times and the length of conversations, it does lead one to pause. But when you look at it, Mr. Bonehead, you've got to realize I have an award that I always want to give away. It's called the Clown Crown. When you look at what this person was here to do, how and what fiber of real thought went into pursuing a relationship, or even if you fail in a position like, hey, I'm feeling some kind of way about this person, understanding who you're dealing with is kind of an essential piece. This person was here to brought in for removing and educating the young players about these things. As a matter of fact, when you look at her backstory, there are some things in there that are interesting. She was actually gang raped by 2 players that she had there. And so we got to make sure that we're being smart as we do these things. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to bring in Terry Pruitt from the NAACP. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Now over to Christine, reporting live with the weather.
Well, Ted, yesterday's sunshine is now a torrential downpour. And with so many farmers harvesting, this really is a disaster. Except for Bob here.
Hello.
Bob, you use Sharpen herbicide from BASF as a harvest aid.
Yep.
With premium desiccation and control over late season weeds, it's harvest time when you say it is.
Sharpen herbicide works. Always read and follow label directions.
This month, when you play the Daily 3 or the Daily 4, you could be in for a big surprise. How? With that Daily Games bonus draw. Play your usual daily numbers, midday and evening. Then get ready, because any draw could be a bonus draw. And your prize could jump 20%. That means a $500 win becomes $600. Daily 3 and 4 bonus draws are for a limited time this month only from the Michigan Lottery. Daily 4 straight and wheeled bets are excluded. Knowing your limits is always the best bet.
2 times the healthy blood pressure support? That's a number to rave about. Thanks to Superbeats Heart Chew's unique 2X ingredient that helps promote normal blood pressure nearly 2 times more effectively than diet and exercise alone. Superbeats is America's #1 selling beet brand, and the only #1 cardiologist, doctor, and pharmacist recommended beet brand for heart health support. A clinical study showed that the key ingredient in Superbeats Heart Chews is nearly 2 times more effective at supporting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. And they're part of a brand with over 60,000 5-star ratings and reviews. So double your potential with a special offer exclusively for radio listeners. Get a free 30-day supply of Superbeats Heart Chews and 15% off your first order at getsuperbeats.com with code RADIO. That's a free 30-day supply and 15% off for radio listeners only at getsuperbeets.com, code RADIO.
I'm Neil Cavuto, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Inflation at the wholesale level was hotter than expected in August. The producer price index rose 0.7%, but up just 0.2% excluding food and energy, a sign of the impact of higher energy prices. The overall PPI reading for the year ending in August rose to 1.6%, and the core number matched forecasts at 2.2%. Retail sales rose 0.6% in August. Excluding auto sales, the increase was also 0.6%. Those numbers are stronger than predicted, but likely reflect shoppers paying higher prices. And the number of new claims for unemployment benefits last week came in at 22,000, still in the range of a healthy job market. Also, the European Central Bank raised its key interest rate this morning by 0.25 percentage point. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak. When regional banks close or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. But prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
The WSGW Morning Team.
The WSGW online poll, a government shutdown possibility. If by September 30th, lawmakers don't come to an agreement to keep the government funded, the shutdown would happen. The Senate appears to be more bipartisan than the House. The fight in the House related generally to overall government spending. The biggest impact, hundreds of thousands of federal workers furloughed and not paid, although when the shutdown ends, the back pay would kick in. Government safety and security would continue, such as the military still operating, Social Security checks going out, air traffic control being maintained. Since shutdowns have been allowed to start in 1980, there have been 10. Poll question, what is your thought about a government shutdown? Are you concerned and believe it should not happen? Are you not concerned and you'd be okay with it? Or you're not sure? We'd like to know through your poll vote. Head to WSW.com, scroll down the homepage, find the poll box, and make your vote.
Your Morning Team, 5:30 to 9 on WSGW.
This is Kareem back, and we're back with more of the Art Lewis Show. I have with me in the studio stream Terry Pruitt, president of the NAACP. How are you doing this morning, Terry?
I am doing very well. How about you?
I am doing well. I hear that you are a mover and shaker, and you're taking care of a lot of business already this morning. Yeah. So I'm thankful that you've allowed us this small period of time to come together and just to kind of talk. Terry, you guys, the NAACP has been a vital force in America since I go at 1905, 1906, 1909, somewhere around there.
1909.
1909. For those who are listening, Terry, because there are such changing demographics in terms of this new generation of people that are coming in. Why don't you just give briefly a little understanding of what exactly does the NAACP do? What is your real focus and what's your purpose? Why are you guys here?
Well, I think to sum it all up in a few words, we're an advocacy organization aimed at eliminating race-based discrimination and protecting the civil rights of every American citizen. So when you think back to 1909 and what prompted the need for the movement, we were still in the midst of, even though the Emancipation Proclamation and freedom supposedly had been granted to especially African Americans, we were still in the midst of lynching. We were still in the midst of major discrimination, not only in the South, but across this whole nation. So, few people don't realize that it was actually a contingent of white supporters who actually helped to frame and form the NAACP, and they brought in some outstanding Black leaders at that time to partner and collaborate with. But part of the founding of the NAACP rests in New York with a large contingency of white supporters who just thought we had to get past the lynching and the race and the discrimination in this country.
And I think that that's very important, because oftentimes when we look at how something has evolved over time, we sometimes lose that history that is very vital to its existence. Which brings me to another place. When we talk about, some of the great legislation that you guys have championed, including the piece on the anti-lynching, and you look at how the NAACP has been so integral in really making sure that the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, and particularly the one where we are able to be given removing the barriers and making equal playing fields as it related to politics, as it relates to housing and all the other things. Is there yet a need for an organization like the NAACP? And if so, explain to our listeners why.
Well, the answer for me is yes, because I live this world every day. Discrimination still exists, and discrimination still exists right here in this community. Some of the complaints and issues that I deal with almost on a daily basis clearly indicate to me that we haven't reached the final plateau of freedom and equality and non-discrimination in this country. So more directly to answer your question, even as we sit here today, the NAACP is intimately involved. I think our tactics and things have changed over the years and over time. Obviously, as an advocacy organization, we try to use the court system much more than we did in the past and the policy table. You've got to get policies on paper and enacted, and you've got to get the court system to enforce the rules and the legislation and the regulations that are already on the books. I think there's a lot of confusion, especially in our culture and world today, when we use these terms, for instance, equity versus equality. A lot of people don't understand the difference between the two. We've got a lot of work that we've done through the court system that created equal access, equal opportunity, but we're far from an equitable position in many instances. It takes me back to the diagram that I think many people and many of the listeners have seen, where you've got three individuals at the baseball field looking over the fence, and they all have equal right to be there, to watch the game and that kind of thing.
Equal opportunity, right, to be there.
But they're not in an equitable position because the shortest person can't see over the fence. And so some accommodation and some way or means of creating equity for that individual so that it can enjoy the benefits and the opportunity to see the game just like the other two individuals.
I want to ask a question. We haven't had an opportunity to really sit down and talk since this legislation has come down. But in this year, we've seen the final end, what I would consider to affirmative action, which we have seen this over a period of time taking place. When we look at the 14th Amendment, talking about equal protection, is it interesting to you that we now see that 14th Amendment being used to really kind of reverse some of the things that were once seen as equitable in the conversation of affirmative action, if you understand what I'm saying?
I absolutely agree with your premise. When we look at the most recent decisions of our United States Supreme Court, and even at the state level, their interpretations, this idea that people don't need those protections anymore because we've reached this point of equality in this country, I think, for the lack of a better term, a true fallacy, because that doesn't really exist to the extent that I think it should. So I would agree with the idea that we've still got a lot of work to do. We still have to fight to make sure that what is proposed and detailed in the 14th Amendment. You look at right here in Michigan, the NAACP is part of a lawsuit down in the Detroit area around the redistricting issue. We eliminated several Black voting districts and representation for those people through the redistricting process. Now, we lobbied hard and advocated for it because we thought it was a much fairer process than having the legislature continue to draw lines and boundaries that would only support the party that was in power. But the issue has to still remain one of protecting everybody's rights and creating an equitable position for everyone. So, we're a part of that whole effort, joining some partners down in the southeast Michigan, where they were truly impacted. But that has implications for this entire state, because if the Supreme Court or state Supreme Court has to issue any kind of ruling around redrawing those boundaries and creating greater equity, it's going to shift districts and boundaries and maps across this state. So, I just put everybody on notice that we may not have reached the end of that whole debate and discussion around the redistricting commission right here in the state of Michigan.
I want to go back to something that you said earlier in our intro. You were talking about how most people are not aware that it was actually a group of white individuals that were tired of seeing the atrocities that were associated with lynching be a part, that were really the beginning of the NAACP. As we look at the shift for what the NAACP has become in terms of how we view it, are there still places and spaces in the work that you're doing that there is a need for white America to be a part of this coalition and to join forces with the movement and the protections that you guys are further seeking?
Well, the simple answer to that question is yes. We're not going to change this country, this nation, until all of us somehow get on the same page and educate ourselves and are at the same level of understanding. Now, you've already alluded to the fact that there are forces out there that are still trying to pull us apart, separate us. And I think that, somehow we've got to come to a real reckoning in this country, in this nation. What is in the best interest of all of us collectively. And so I think organizations like the ACLU, the NAACP, and other advocacy and civil rights and human rights organizations, people, there's quite a bit of controversy about LGBT issues. They're still human beings. If they go to rent an apartment or go to shop or to buy, they need to be treated just like everybody else. Under the laws of this nation.
Well, I certainly think we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be back with more from Terry Pruitt, president of the Saginaw NAACP.
You hear that? That's the sound of Dairyland Seed bringing the yield bigger and better than ever before. We're talking our best corn of all time, our strongest silage lineup ever, and the greatest soybeans in our history. We're talking a full lineup of seed proven to outperform the competition once again in independent head-to-head trials. See the performance data for yourself at showmetheyield.com. That's showmetheyield.com.
On your mark, get set. It's time for the 3rd annual Panther Prowl 5K Fun Run and Walk. Get some exercise for a great cause. The Panther Prowl 5K is a fundraiser for sports and physical education programs at Peace Lutheran School in Saginaw. Run or walk this year's 5K on the trails of Emmerman Park starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday, October 28th. Register today at www.peacesaginaw.org/athletics.
Hi, Art Lewis here. And after many years in several vehicles, I finally get to talk about my car dealer, McDonald Ford, on M47 in Freeland. McDonald Ford wants you to know they are now buying cars. You can sell your vehicle by beginning the process by simply sending 7 photos of your car to joe@mcdonaldford.com. Photos must be of the front, rear, left, and right sides, car's interior, dashboard showing vehicle mileage, and a photo of your title showing the VIN number. Receive an offer, and you decide. Payment is on the spot and includes all paperwork and lien release. Don't wait. Put cash in your pocket today and tell your friends and family too. Send your photos to joe@mcdonaldford.com. That's joe@mcdonaldford.com. Oh, by the way, mention my name, Art Lewis, and they'll throw in a free lunch with the deal. McDonald Ford, 6790 Midland Road in Freeland, devoted to helping and serving you.
Go apple picking, bobcat winning to find awesome outdoor adventures at Saginaw Eagles Landing. Every Saturday in September, pick the lucky apple and win up to $500 premium play every hour, 5 to 9 p.m. Then at the 10 p.m. drawing on September 30th, one lucky guest wins the grand prize, $25,000 at Powis Bay Marine and Cycle. Apple picking, bobcat winning, only at Saginaw Eagles Landing Casino and Hotel. Real fun, real friendly. Visit saginaw-eagleslanding.com for complete rules and details.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE, Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
And now, try Babbel free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
The back-to-back Big Ten champions are hungry for more.
He's in the clear, to the 10, to the 5,
Yes.
tipped and intercepted.
What a great catch.
Into the blue, touchdown, Wolverines.
Join us this Saturday as Michigan hosts Bowling Green in its final non-conference game of the season. Kickoff is at 7:30, right here on your home for the Wolverines.
Michigan Game Day coverage brought to you by Wolf Isles Ace Hardware begins at 6:30 on 100.5 FM WSGW.
This is the premier kitchen and bath gallery showroom and design center studios of WSGW.
This is Kareem. I'm sitting in for Art Lewis, and we're back in the studio we've had, in addition to the conversation, we have both Terry Pruitt, president of the NAACP, and then the lovely Miss Kanika Owen Robinson Pugh. Welcome to the conversation, Kanika. Okay, we're having some difficulties with her audio. We're going to see if we can get her working. But what we want to do is, Terry, I want to take a turn in our conversation and talk a little bit about what you guys have coming up. This is an annual event that takes place, and this is the NAACP Freedom Fund Gala. Share a little bit about what exactly this is and what's going on.
Well, thanks, Kanika, for being able to join us. Kanika is really the driver and pusher and organizer of our annual event for the last couple of years. So I want her to speak to this. But on an annual basis for the last 52 years, we have come together actually to host one of the most diverse events in this community. We have between 550 and 600 people every year at this event. And when you walk in, you see just a totally diverse representative audience. It is the only fundraiser that we really sponsor on an annual basis. You and I were talking earlier about the work and the need for the NAACP. And obviously, some of the things that we do cannot be done without some funding and some resources. I want to make it very clear to the listening audience that I don't get paid. Kanika doesn't get paid. We're all volunteers. I probably put in 25, 30, 40 hours a week with the NAACP and don't get a dime for it. But we really do try to attend some of our meetings, get the education we need to bring back to this community the kind of effort that we need to pursue the work and the mission of the NAACP. So I'm going to let Kanika try to outline who our speaker is, who we're honoring, and the structure of the program, so we bring people in our listening audience up to speed about who we are and what we're doing.
Kanika, are you with us now?
I am. I do apologize for the mix-ups here this morning, but I'm glad to be here with you and your listening audience. And of course, thank you for having us. So we are preparing to celebrate our 52nd annual Freedom Fund. Some of us call it a gala, some of it call us a banquet, some of us call it a celebration. I'm going to call it one of all of those, okay? So we are coming to do one of each of those things, and we're celebrating people in our community. We're celebrating our community thriving together, and that is our theme this year. So we will be honoring three of our um, community members. Um, and I will go ahead and say their names. Normally we do this on TV5, but I'm going to give this listening audience the first dibs on these honorees. We have former Mayor Wilmerham McZee, we have Rosa Holiday, and Mr. Smallwood Holloman. All of these individuals have exemplified the game changers, if you will, of the NAACP. They represent what we stand for, and that is building stronger communities, diversity, equity, doing things just to bring the community together. We also have another group of individuals that we will be honoring, and those are our young professionals. We know that the youth are our next leaders, and we want to make sure that we are saying, "Hey, we see you. We see what you're doing in the community." And again, they embody the strategies and the platform of the NAACP. And there are 13 of those young people that we want to recognize. And then this year we have a new group, and it is called the Community Impact Award. And we're out and about in the community a lot. There are a lot of
Absolutely.
great things that are happening in our community, and there are individuals that are stepping up, and we may not know who's behind what's going on. But I've had the opportunity to try in a lot of the activities that are going on in the community, and we had a nomination process. And the three organizations or entities that we will be recognizing are there's the prom in the city, and that is Chrissy Parker. She puts together a prom for special needs individuals, and it is just a beautiful thing. And she's in her 8th year. And these are people that we may not hear about, the things that they're doing in the community. The next one that we have is Grown Folks Live, and that is Mr. Terrence Miles. Neat story. We've heard about DJs like DJ Nice that were helping people
During the
during COVID
pandemic.
time. Yep. And we had one right here in the city of Saginaw that was bringing people together, keeping their social and emotional, trying to, do some work in that space. And I didn't know about it. And so this is been doing it, started with the pandemic. Real neat story. His brother was in the hospital. He couldn't get to him. So that is the way that he connected, and he continued to connect people across the United States to Saginaw and keeping people connected, friends, and giving them some social platform. So he has Grown Folks Live, and that's Mr. Terrence Mile. And our third is Charles Lawrence, and he has Peace in the City Kickball. I don't know if you guys have gone out there to see that.
Yeah,
But just to see that,
I've actually was a part of that this past year. Yeah.
yeah, so that diverse crowd, and somehow I did end up on the field playing kickball this year. But Chucky Lawrence has pulled together thousands. It has become an annual event. This is in the 2nd year, and just to do something in the neighborhood
Yeah, we're losing you,
and
Kanika.
gathering. So again, looking at groups.
Okay, we don't know if you can position
sorry, go
yourself
ahead.
a little bit better so that we can hear you clearly. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Greetings, Saginaw County veterans and families. Did you know that Saginaw now has a Veteran Service Center, and it is located in the YMCA of Saginaw? It is also the new home of the Michigan Veterans Trust Fund. The Veteran Service Office is staffed with state-accredited service officers who are ready to assist veterans and their dependents, all for potential benefits. Call the Veteran Service Center in the YMCA of Saginaw at 517-927-6692. That's 517-927-6692.
It could be the best years of your life. In retirement, you'll finally get to do what you want to do, but you have to plan for it. Start by tuning into Mindy and Nolan McIntosh of McIntosh & Associates every Sunday at noon for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Make retirement the best time of your life. Tune in Sundays at noon for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Some days, my active psoriatic arthritis makes it hard to get in the game. Now, the ball is in my court, thanks to treating my skin and joints with Skyrizi, Risankizumab Risa, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults.
Nothing is everything.
Skyrizi helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
2 times the healthy blood pressure support? That's a number to rave about. Thanks to Superbeats Heart Chew's unique 2X ingredient that helps promote normal blood pressure nearly 2 times more effectively than diet and exercise alone. Superbeats is America's #1 selling beet brand and the only #1 cardiologist, doctor, and pharmacist recommended beet brand for heart health support. A clinical study showed that the key ingredient in Superbeats Heart Chews is nearly 2 times more effective at supporting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. And they're part of a brand with over 60,000 5-star ratings and reviews. So double your potential with a special offer exclusively for radio listeners. Get a free 30-day supply of Superbeats Heart Chews and 15% off your first order at getsuperbeats.com with code RADIO. That's a free 30-day supply and 15% off for radio listeners only at getsuperbeets.com, code RADIO.
This is a paid advertisement. Pulaski Kirker with principal offices in Houston, Texas is responsible for the content of this advertisement. Parker Stenauer is attorney licensed in Michigan. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should never be based upon an advertisement.
Attention, victims of sexual abuse. If you were sexually abused by a member of the clergy, listen closely, as you may be entitled to financial compensation, even if the abuse happened decades ago. A recent report from Michigan's Attorney General details decades of sexual abuse in the diocese with accused priests. If you suffered abuse from a clergy member, no matter how long ago, call our law firm's confidential clergy abuse helpline at 800-320-9047. We may be able to get you justice, closure, and substantial compensation while your case remains fully confidential. This is your chance to hold those responsible accountable and receive a meaningful financial settlement. So hurry, call our law firm's 100% confidential clergy abuse helpline right now to seek justice and compensation. Call 800-320-9047. That's 800-320-9047. 800-320-9047.
This is Kareem, and I'm sitting in for Art Lewis on the Art Lewis Show. We have with us Terry Pruitt, president of the NAACP, and Miss Kanika Owen Robbins Pugh. Kanika, we've talked about the when and the why, and now we're talking about the what. Let's talk about this amazing gala, banquet, fund, awards program that you guys have planned for us. Give us some of the details that we can prepare to be in attendance.
Yes, so our evening actually kicks off with a reception for the young people. And then after the doors open at 4:30, and we're going to be greeted with musical talent by Miss Tasha Parker. We have AXO students, Lionel Baldwin and Micah Dunn, who recently competed in our went to Boston and represented us at the national AXO competition. You know, of course, we have to have the red carpet before we enter the room. So our own Joyce Harvin and Julian Morris will be interviewing guests as they're entering the room. And our dynamic speaker is none other than Speaker of the House, Joe Tate. I love it because it's a tongue twister. I say speaker twice. It seems a little odd, but Speaker of the House Joe Tate, who is out of the 10th Congressional District, and he is our first African American Speaker of the House.
Wow, this is going to be a great occasion. So, how can people get your information, get a hold of you, get their tickets? What do they need to do in order to register for this event?
You know, this is our third year, and we are getting on here at this juncture when it comes to the interviews, and we're saying, guess what, guys? We are sold out. And this time, it was not a marketing ploy. It really was not. When I posted and said, hey, we're almost selling out, we were true, and we have gone over the amount that we initially set for our goal. So at this time, you're going to have to wait for a rebroadcast, possibly at a much later date, but we are at capacity. Yes.
Well, I did read somewhere that you all are still offering during the pandemic, rolling with the times. There was a need for us to do a number of things virtually. Is that yet an option for people that are listening who would like to get plugged in and still be a part, even though they can't be there in person?
So we did have that request, and I did say we are not doing it.
Okay.
Not this year, but we will broadcast the red carpet activities on our Facebook Live, our social media handle there. And so they'll get a snippet of it. And then, of course, we're going to rebroadcast at a later date on our website.
So what does this type of an event, what does this allow for you all to do? What does this mean for you all, this banquet for the NAACP, this fundraiser?
Okay. And I think Terry spoke to this point. The activities that we do in the community cost money. The voter education pieces, the social topics that we're covering, education, legal redress, some of those topics that we're handling. There was just a discussion on marijuana and what is the law. And I'm probably stealing President Pruitt's thunder, but we're going to be doing some more on just making sure we have information so that this fundraiser, again, not only raises funds, but you heard President Pruitt talk about the crowd and the diversity. This community really looks forward to this event, to be able to get out and network and see some people. We're talking 700 that we have approached, and it's a diverse crowd. So when I hear the community say that they're looking forward to going to Freedom Fund, it's like, okay, it's the impact is there. Our mission is being accomplished.
I certainly want to thank both of you for being a part of this. If you've never been to this event, make sure that you're a part of it next year. Since this year they are filled to capacity, it is really an opportunity for the entire community to come out. I want to thank you once again for your time and attention. I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday, September the 24th at the Horizon Conference Center. God bless you all. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
We can't see tomorrow, but we can hear it. And it sounds like peace of mind, knowing our lakes will be better protected by placing Line 5 in the Great Lakes Tunnel. And that we've added extra safety measures while we work to build it, because we're committed to keeping the Great Lakes safe for generations to come. Tomorrow is on. Visit enbridge.com/line5 for more information. Enbridge. Life takes energy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury is in. And the verdict? Biologicals work. Now, no doubt you've heard plenty about biologicals, or at least plenty of opinions about them, but there's been little proven data to back them up. Until now. Introducing Mosaic Biosciences, making biologicals work with proven science. A commitment to ongoing innovation and decades of trusted crop nutrition leadership. By building on a foundation of science-backed knowledge and agronomic expertise, we're leveraging the natural biology in the soil to optimize plant health and yield potential on a whole new level. Biologicals, backed by real science, backed by real expertise, backed by real results from the field, backed by Mosaic. Find out how Mosaic Biosciences is activating connected potential in the field and how it can impact your 2024 crop nutrition plan. Visit us at biologicalswork.com.
Exergen is the smart choice when selecting a thermometer. As children return to school, keeping them healthy is important. Got a fever? Stay home. To detect fever accurately at home, you need a fast, non-invasive, and clinically accurate thermometer. Exergen provides all of that. It's backed by over 100 clinical studies. Accuracy matters. Be smart and safe. Measure temperature accurately with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for this first hour of the Art Lewis Show. I am Kareem Bowen. We certainly want to thank Terry Pruitt and Kanika Owens Robinson Pugh for joining us. Coming up next, we'll have Mike Percha with the news. He'll have national and international news, and then we'll have the local news right here from WSGW.
From the Premier Kitchen and Bath Gallery Studios, WSGW, Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, WSGW FM, Carlton.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. We begin with breaking news from Georgia. A Fulton County judge has just ruled former President Trump and 16 others will be tried separately from 2 defendants set to go to trial next month on charges of trying to reverse the 2020 election results. Lawyers Sidney Powell and Kenneth Chesbrough had filed demands for a speedy trial. Start date, October 23rd. Hurricane Lee is creeping closer to the New England coast. Tropical storm watches are up from Maine to Rhode Island. Marshfield, Mass. Town Administrator Michael Moresco.
The waves can be very, very dangerous.
This boat owners decided to pack it in for the season.
I'd like to get another month out of the boat, but for this storm, it seems like you might as well just pull it in.
CBS meteorologist David Parkinson.
It's about 48 hours from unleashing its worst impacts on New England. This storm is far weaker than it was a couple of days ago.
Europe is setting more heat records.
This year's summer was Spain's 3rd hottest in 62 years when official records began. Authorities there say temperatures peaked at 116 degrees, and there's a severe drought across much of the country. The Spanish Weather Agency says the average temperature this summer was 2.3 degrees higher than normal. The news comes just days after the World Meteorological Organization said this July was the hottest ever recorded on Earth. Elaine Cobb, CBS News.
Here in the U.S., United Auto Workers could strike plants at midnight, key to the Big Three's most profitable cars and trucks. The union's Tommy Patrick.
We went through recessions, we went through bankruptcies with this company, and they've taken and we've never gotten anything back.
WWJ's Jeff Gilbert has more.
As they near tonight's midnight deadline, UAW President Shawn Fain will lay out which plants they will strike first. That, he says, allows the union to ratchet up the pressure and ratchet it up as little or as much as they need.
An all-out strike is still a possibility. We're keeping all of our options open.
Fain says talks are making progress, but they remain far from an agreement. Jeff Gilbert, CBS News, Detroit.
The U.S. will sanction more foreign companies and individuals today for allegedly shipping American tech to Russia. CBS's Cami McCormick.
These latest sanctions will include Turkish companies and individuals, accusing them of helping Russia evade sanctions. It comes at a delicate time for U.S.-Turkey relations, but Washington has issued repeated warnings, and multiple U.S. officials have traveled to Turkey since Russia's invasion of Ukraine to apply pressure to companies there to observe U.S. sanctions.
This is CBS News.
You need to hire fast and hire right? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates efficiently. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
This month, when you play the Daily 3 or the Daily 4, you could be in for a big surprise. How? With that Daily Games bonus draw. Play your usual daily numbers, midday and evening. Then get ready, because any draw could be a bonus draw. And your prize could jump 20%. That means a $500 win becomes $600. Daily 3 and 4 bonus draws are for a limited time this month only from the Michigan Lottery. Daily 4 straight and wheeled bets are excluded. Knowing your limits is always the best bet.
Go with your gut. Your dog's immune system is based in the gut. A diet lacking in nutrients can cause itching, scratching, and a weak immune system. However, there is a solution. DINOVITE, Dinovite.
It took a grand total of 2 weeks. The dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Live from the 100.5 and 790 newsroom, this is WSGW News.
Sunny skies and 56 degrees at 10:05. Good morning, I'm Mike Kershaw. Police in Saginaw say a 22-year-old was arrested after a bank robbery on Monday. According to the Saginaw Police Department, officers responded to the Family First Credit Union at 1011 North Michigan Avenue around 10 a.m. after a suspect fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. Police reviewed surveillance video and got a description of the suspect, who officials say was known to police from prior encounters and has ties to Saginaw. The man was arrested the same day and is being held in the Saginaw County Jail. The investigation is ongoing and detectives are trying to locate other witnesses. Anyone with information about the incident is asked to call the Saginaw Police Department. Authorities in Flint are investigating a shooting that occurred Tuesday night. State police say the incident was reported around 11 p.m. in the 2100 block of Midway Circle. A 38-year-old man was shot outside Midway Townhomes and was taken to a local hospital where he died from his injuries. No other injuries were reported, and officials say no suspects are in custody at this time. Anyone with information on that case is asked to call the Flint Major Case Unit or leave an anonymous tip with Crime Stoppers at 1-800-422-JAIL. New contract talks with healthcare workers are being negotiated at McLaren Bay Region Hospital in Bay City. While negotiations have been ongoing since February, when the previous contract was up, workers say McLaren is not giving them any concessions. Members of the local union, Unite Here Local 24, say they're asking for safe patient ratios, competitive and fair wages, while also having to deal with staffing shortages. They say patient safety is the number one priority, as patient death from having too few nurses has risen from 22% in 2016 to 42% in 2023. That's according to the Michigan Nurses Association. McLaren auxiliary workers held a rally near the hospital yesterday to express their frustration. McLaren Bay Region has released a statement saying while staffing has improved over the past year, there is a safe nurse-to-patient staffing ratios. WSGW News Time 10:07.
Visit the Auburn Farmers Market Thursdays 2 to 6 p.m. located in Auburn Park under the pavilion at US 10 and 9 Mile Road. Fresh produce, baked goods, arts and crafts, and more. And don't forget about our monthly moonlight markets. The Auburn Farmers Market, we'd love to feed you. Open June 15th through September 28th.
Have you heard about the benefits of joining Dow Credit Union? Great rates, member give back rebates and rewards, friendly local service with locations in Midland and Saginaw. From your family and friends to your passions or place of employment, we have a pathway to membership for everyone at dowcreditunion.org/join. Membership eligibility required. While member give back rebates and rewards occur with great regularity, this credit union benefit is not guaranteed. Not all loan and deposit products are eligible for member give back consideration. Some limitations apply. Insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
WSGW News Time 10:08. The weather forecast is coming up. Governor Gretchen Whitmer has expanded a state of emergency declaration stemming from severe storms late last month. The governor declared a state of emergency for Chesterfield Township and New Baltimore in Macomb County. Homeowners in both communities reported flooding as a result of heavy rain. The emergency declaration means state resources can be used to help in recovery efforts. Teams from FEMA, as well as state and county, could be to be conducting damage assessment next week to help determine if a presidential disaster declaration should be requested. A new program in Michigan will help victims of domestic violence keep their new address confidential. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel announced the Address Confidentiality Program.
For anyone who's at an increased risk of physical harm or threats, including victims of stalking, domestic violence, sexual assault, or human trafficking, the fear of being found by their perpetrator can be overwhelming.
The program shields a victim's new address by providing a substitute address. Then it uses a mail forwarding service. For someone who fears their address will be increase the risk of harm, this safeguard will make it harder for a perpetrator to find them. The Attorney General's office has set up an email for any questions, ag-acp@michigan.gov. When you see news happening, call the WSGW newsroom at 752-0790. It's 10:10. I'm Mike Percha. Now here's WNEM First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro.
Your Thursday has a high of 68 degrees, partly to mostly sunny skies. Just some patchy frost still possible in our northwestern zones on this Thursday morning. As we head into today, though, with partly to mostly sunny skies, any frost and any fog, too. That'll be burning off pretty quickly. We'll just have a light and variable wind through today. For tonight, a low of 46 degrees, patchy fog possible again. Our northwestern zones, instead of falling down into the middle to lower 30s, we're just expecting you to land around 38 to 39. So you should be able to just avoid that level of frost concern. However, again, that patchy fog still possible. For Friday, 72, mostly sunny. Saturday, that'll be 73 with showers moving in into the evening. Better chance of showers on Sunday. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matthew Mondro.
Right now, it's 58 degrees on WSGW.
Now, the only local radio talk show offering you the chance to ask your questions and express your opinions from around your block to around the world. The Art Lewis Show is on 100.5 and 790 WSGW and online, WSGW.com. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center.
Good morning. This is Kareem sitting in for Art Lewis. Welcome to the second hour of the Art Lewis Show. I'm in studio today with two distinguished gentlemen who I have the pleasure of knowing for some time, but excited to have them in the studio today. We have Brian Pruitt, who is the founder and CEO of Power of Dad. Good morning, Brian.
Hello, Kareem. How you doing?
I am doing well. And then we also have Hurley Coleman III, also known as TJ to those who know him affectionately. He is here representing CAC, that is Community Action Committee. Welcome to the Art Lewis Show, Hurley.
Good morning, Kareem. Glad to be here.
All right. So what brings these two distinguished men to the show? There is something that is happening in our community that I think everyone needs to know about. There's something called the Man Up Return.
Yes.
All right. So I want to start over there on the other side of you. TJ, if you don't mind me calling you.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Hurley the Third. I'm sorry. I want to be your professional name here. But why don't you share a little bit about what CAC is doing? And I know that you've been doing a lot in terms of repositioning, rebranding. What exactly do you do for the community?
So thank you, Kareem. Saginaw County Community Action is one of 27 community action networks in the state of Michigan. And what our whole goal statewide, our initiative is to help people help themselves through different programs and initiatives. And in this situation that we have found ourselves in, we have the ability to impact fathers in a great way. This is the second iteration of grant funding that we received through the Office of Faith Engagement, which is a STEM of the Department of Health and Human Services. And so with this year's grant, we have been able to impact our fathers in the area of job development, mitigating barriers, and looking at how we can impact their families and their job situations and finding ways to improve their situation and moving them into a place of self-sufficiency wherever they may be.
Okay, this is exciting. So I was going to ask you, was there a real push for fathers? Now, we use the term fathers. Is this only what you guys are planning to do? And some of the things, are they relegated specifically toward family, fathers, that kind of thing?
So yes, there's a department that we have called the Department of Family Self-Sufficiency. And so there has been a push to help mothers. And there has also now been a push to help fathers. This is something that we've been building up to get to our fathers. And so anyone who's a father who, if you're raising children, and even those who are just coming out of incarceration who have not been able to get in contact with their children, this is a way for them to be involved in this program, to connect them to all the different services, not just that we offer at our agency, but that other entities in our community offer, to bring them into a place of growth, enhancement, development.
Okay, I think that's amazing. So this makes sense. We're going to make a real easy transition. We have the man who I can always tell he is the man who connects with the men in the city and really the Tri-County of the Michigan Bay region. We have Brian Pruitt, Power of Dad. So this is a natural connection here that exists. Brian, tell us a little bit about Power of Dad, and then share with us, how did the two of you begin this formidable partnership?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's an honor to be here with this group of men here today. Power Dad started 18 years ago. We work with fatherless young men, ages 11 through 18. So we've been in the fight for a long time. And we've been doing it for 18 years, which means we've been doing this long enough now to see young men grow up, become fathers, become husbands, become productive men in our cities and in other cities at this point in time. And so it has been a blessing. It's been a joy to watch this. That's what I've been doing within the city of Saginaw. And of course, for the last 28 years, I've been traveling, carrying the message of family and fatherhood around this country and other countries as well. I got a call from TJ. He shared with me in regards to what CAC's mission was, to reach men in the Saginaw Valley here and in our region. And I was excited about that. I already had some things on my heart and had been really contemplating on how to reach men. And so we sat down, began to talk, and said, hey, why not partner on this and come together and do something special for men and young men here in our city.
Okay, I'm really excited. You know, every time I'm around Brian, I'm always intrigued by how it sounds like he's eating a small child.
It's the unique voice.
He's got one of those voices that is very unique. I certainly appreciate it. Brian, you were talking about how you guys have been doing this for 18 years.
Yes.
How many young men do you think that you've impacted in the time that you've been doing what you do?
I would say easily over 1,500 young men in the region. Yeah, in that time.
That's a powerful number. Yeah. All right. So what brings together Hurley Coleman, CAC, and Power of Dad? Let's talk a little bit about the Man Up the Return.
Yeah. Man Up the Return. We are excited about it. Many years ago, Kareem, you and I traveled to a number of different cities and states. And working with your family member, Jason Richardson. And we started doing it here in Saginaw, Man Up. And I'll let you talk a little bit about how we traveled the country and those things like that. But we hadn't done it for a number of years, but it had such an impact that people kept asking, when are you guys going to do that again? When I sat down with Hurley Coleman and his coworker Jasmine, and we began to plan this thing out, and knowing that you and I had already been talking about Man Up the Return, and we just decided, hey, let's partner, let's bring these things together, and let's give the community what they want. They want the return of Man Up, where we reach men and young men and encourage them and give them tools for manhood and fatherhood.
You know, it's interesting. For those of you who are listening, Brian's talking, he's alluding to Man Up. And Man Up is something that actually happened by accident. It was, we were looking for some programming, and we were like, hey, what should we do? And Jason Richardson at the time, his platform as an NBA athlete, he wanted to really work with fatherless young men because he grew up without his father in his life. And I remember the very first time we got together, it was after, I think, a celebrity basketball game in Flint with Mateen Cleaves and the crew. And so what it was we were just getting together, having this conversation, not really knowing what exactly was going to take place. And I believe that Mateen Cleaves stood up and he began to tell the story, not just about the father situation, but he began to share the story about how he was impacted by gun violence and how his brother was shot down on the front porch of their home and the impact that it made in his life. And I think that we were all blown away because grown men were shedding tears, and the young men started sharing their stories of how they've had to deal with violence in their communities. And that was really how Man Up was birthed. We like, hey, there's something special that's here. And I remember sitting with his name is Turk Stevens. He is now off doing great Hollywood things, producing movies and all of that other stuff. And Sandra Ware, we were sitting and we were trying to figure out how do we pull these pieces together and what is this that we have? And so we came up with the Man Up Forum. And you're right, we did cities across the state, across the country, eventually doing a partnership with President Obama's White House. And we did a 5-city tour with him, starting in LA, ending in DC, with the focus on the family, who is now the international president, the international bishop for the Churches of God in Christ. It's the largest African-American Pentecostal church in the world. He and his family, he brought his entire family out, and they were addressing the issues and the importance of men and the role that fathers play in families. And so now we have been talking, there is a revival, for those that are listening, in our community of bringing men back to the forefront. And we're going to talk a little bit about that after we take this first commercial break. We're going to talk more about the Man Up Forum with TJ Hurley Coleman III and Brian Pruitt.
Along with me is attorney Jerry Wright. First off, Jerry, does having a joint or beneficiary account avoid probate?
Well, it can work, but the question I have for you is, if you were to pass away at your death, that account would automatically go to your spouse.
That's what most people do, but can that plan work?
Well, maybe, but what if your spouse remarries? Then what would happen to the assets that you left to your spouse?
Well, what about the beneficiary designation?
Well, if you leave the beneficiary directly to our children, do your kids get the money after you die? Yes.
Okay, isn't this a good thing?
Well, I don't know. What if your kids are in the middle of a divorce? Then half of your money could end up in the hands of a former in-law. What if they got sued? Who does their will leave it to? Their spouse or the grandkids?
Wow. Well, how can we avoid some of these problems, Jerry?
Well, proper estate planning will enable you to ensure what you have gets to whom you want, when you want, the way you want, without unnecessary cost, delays, or government interference.
Thanks, Jerry. Okay, so if you want to learn more or register for an upcoming workshop, visit jerryrifelawyer.com or call 989-790-1461 today.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks opened higher. Wall Street appears to be shaking off another report with hotter than expected inflation. The Producer Price Index, prices at the wholesale level, rose 0.7% in August and increased 1.6% over the past year. Retail sales were up 0.6% last month. The numbers are likely reflecting higher prices for gasoline and energy. ARM, the British chip design company, is going public today on the NASDAQ. It's launching at $51 a share, which would value the company at $54.5 billion. Delta Airlines shares opened higher. The company lowered its forecast for the current quarter, saying it expects to pay more for fuel, but Delta still expressed some optimism about its business. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss, even when you monitor your credit. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated US-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak. When regional banks close or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Your WSGW morning team.
A life lesson for you. Again, thanks to a listener. A young married couple moved into a new house. The next morning, the young wife saw her neighbor hanging her wash outside to dry. The young wife commented, "That laundry is not very clean. She doesn't know how to wash correctly." Her husband remained silent. Every time that her neighbor hung up her wash to dry, the young woman looked out and made the same comments. A month later, the woman looked out and was surprised to see nice, clean wash on her neighbor's line. She said to her husband, "Look, she's finally learned how to wash correctly. I wonder who taught her." Her husband said to his young wife, "I got up early this morning and I washed our windows." The life lesson: what we see when watching others depends on the clarity of the windows we see the world. Ooh, does that hit home?
The morning team, 5:30 to 9 on WSGW.
This is Kareem. We're back with more of the Art Lewis Show. Sitting in the studio today with Brian Pruitt of Power Dad and Hurley Coleman III of CAC. Before the break, we were talking about Man Up and how we, Brian and I, had initially partnered with this, and we were doing tours across the cities of the U.S. And what we found was that there were some commonalities between men and boys, and we began to foster those conversations, bringing in community service organizations such as CAC. And corporations that were able to help fund that fight. So now get a phone call from Brian Pruitt. Brian, you have been doing some things, and there's some other things that you have in the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
I always call you the pastor of men for Saginaw County. That's something I told you a long time ago. We'll watch it come into fruition. But let's talk about how the formulation of this partnership between you and CAC happened that brought us to a place where we're going to talk about what Man Up is going to look like as we are reloading its return.
Yes. That all started with the conversation with TJ and his coworker Jasmine. And as we were talking, we decided to partner the visions that we were going to have to reach men and young men. And when we start talking about who we needed to have a part of this team to reach this Great Lakes Bay region, of course, we came to the man, the voice, Kareem Bowen as well. So we need Kareem. And as stated, Kareem and
I'll make sure I pay you guys at the end of the show.
Right. I take mine in 50s, please. I take mine in 50s. And what we knew was that Kareem and I had already been talking. And so there was this buzz. And I like to say that when you start hearing things like that constantly, then you know it's time. It was time to give birth to this. And it was time for this initiative to be launched here. So at Thompson Middle School this upcoming Saturday, we've got Man Up the Return, and it is going to be absolutely awesome.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what the Man Up Return is going to look like, because I know that fatherlessness was an issue we talked about.
Yeah.
We talked about community violence and gun violence in our communities before. What are some of the key topics that we're going to be addressing as we talk about Man Up returning with the population that's coming? Once again, what's the age group that we're looking, the target?
We're welcoming all young men and men to come. Okay, so we want men to bring their sons with them. Okay, come on out, enjoy. We got a bunch of things going on. We got game trucks, we got food trucks, we've got free haircuts, we got massages, we've got bouncy houses, we got all those things taking place. And then there's going to be speakers and performances by Charles Allen as well. We're going to have Straight Talk. Kareem Bowen's going to be there and do Straight Talk live. from Man Up the Return. I will be speaking. We'll have other speakers that day as well too. It is going to be awesome. We're going to be addressing issues on manhood, fatherhood, fatherlessness, violence, but we're also going to be talking about solutions. Okay. And we're going to hear from our community and from the young people in our community. Often we think we have a plan that's going to fix something. We want to hear from our young people. What do we need to be doing?
There has been a real push over the past, I would say, 6 to 8 months to plan and to create opportunities for young people. How is this? And I want to position this to you, CJ. How does what you guys are planning with Man Up, I should say we are planning for Man Up this coming weekend, how does that differ from some of the things that we've seen in the past? What are some of the things that you think are fundamentally different about what you guys are doing to engage this population that may be a bit different?
I think to start, we're asking the question. We're inviting them to the table. And, a lot of times, with our young people, our young adults, and even our men, we think that we can prescribe the answers for them without asking them what the issues are. And we find that a lot of times when as an agency, we're doing case management, where we prescribe what it is that we think they need to have. And we miss the essence of being able to ask the question from the other side. What do you need?
Yeah.
What is the issue? What problems are in the way of you getting to the place that you need to get to? Or what solutions can we help to mitigate? And I think that this opportunity of bringing the fun to the table, bringing the games to the table, offering haircuts. A lot of times we're going to have some single mothers there. We're going to have some grandmothers there. We're going to have some aunties who are caring for their sons, and they're going to be looking for a place to connect the men, to connect their sons and their nephews to. And this is going to be that outlet that they'll be able to come and find other men and other young men just like them that are trying to find the same answers. And I think that this is an open door, and it creates an opportunity for us to begin that dialogue for change.
I think that you said something that's really important, and that is we often create programs for men. We create programs for kids. And what you're saying is that we are creating a program with them in terms of listening to what they have to say for the things that are necessary. Brian, you are a stats man. I know that you are continually giving stats on impact. You were talking about 1,500 men you guys have been able to impact over the past 18 years that you guys have literally raised some men through your process.
Yeah.
When we look at what's planning on taking place this coming Saturday at Thompson Middle School, why is this important? Why is it necessary? Share with us some of those dynamics. I've heard you talk about the impact of fatherlessness on the family unit. Share with us some of those things, some of those numbers, statistics.
Well, the statistics tell us that there are over 24 million fatherless kids in America. What that tells us, you talked about the process of young men becoming men. And what happens there is this. If you are a hurt young man, you typically grow up to be a hurt man as well, too. And what do hurt people do? Hurt people hurt other people at all times until they get healing. It is possible to be a 60-year-old man with 7-year-old wounds in your life, and it's affecting every part of your life. So if we come to this place, we want to deal with issues. We want to bring about healing. We want to see people be able to move forward in their life. In the next 20 to 25 years, they're saying there'll be about 35 to 40 million fatherless youth in this country. We want to do something about that. Okay. And that has impact greatly on our region in the city of Saginaw. Wherever you find major amounts of fatherlessness, you will find major amounts of violence. They walk hand in hand. There's something powerful about looking at a young person and saying, hey, wait till I tell your father. Okay.
Yeah.
And
it means something.
It means something.
It means something.
And it
So
means something. So what we want dads to do is realize this. Hey, you matter. Stay in position. Be encouraged. Let's do this thing together. You're not alone.
one thing that I think is very important in this conversation, and you were giving those statistics, is that this is not a black, brown, or white issue.
No, it is not, and we would make the mistake in believing so.
Yeah, but this is an issue that impacts all of us.
Yeah.
And when we look at what it is that we're facing, you said something that was so profound. The impact on fatherlessness, on community violence, and violence in our communities. And that violence does not have a race. It is it transcends race. It transcends economic situations. How do we effectively, Brian? How do we effectively join forces to really begin a process of combating violence? And is this event that we're looking to have this weekend? And we got about a minute, so I'm going to allow you the last minute on this side. We're going to take a quick commercial break after that, and we're going to come back to it. Is this event a one-time thing, or is this something that we're going to continue to do? Are there components that have legs that can begin to walk?
Yes, the components. This is not while the event may be this year, okay, and next week, this weekend. There are organizations that are tied to this event, such as Power Dads, such as HELP, such as other organizations within this city that are going to be here afterwards that we want to connect people to. And we want to give them an opportunity to have tools and leadership around them as we move from this Saturday.
Okay, so this isn't a one-time event, because I know oftentimes they come in that way. We have an event. It's fun. Wow, that was great. We felt good for 15 minutes. And now we're onward and forward to other things. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what are some of those key components, those key classes. What are some of the takeaways that we're expecting our young men and families to have as they come to be a part of this program? Stay, don't go away. We'll be back with more of the Art Lewis Show.
From the first time to the final time. Foreigner, the historic farewell tour. Saturday night, October 21st at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Hit after hit, anthem after anthem. Tickets start at $59 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Party hard, Foreigner forever. Don't miss your jukebox heroes. October 21st at Soaring Eagle.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
And now, try Babbel free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
This is a paid advertisement. Pulaski Kirker with principal offices in Houston, Texas is responsible for the content of this advertisement. Parkhurst & Ira is attorney licensed in Michigan. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should never be based upon an advertisement.
Attention, victims of sexual abuse. If you were sexually abused by a member of the clergy, listen closely, as you may be entitled to financial compensation, even if the abuse happened decades ago. A recent report from Michigan's Attorney General details decades of sexual abuse in the diocese with accused priests. If you suffered abuse from a clergy member, no matter how long ago, call our law firm's confidential clergy abuse helpline at 800-320-9047. We may be able to get you justice, closure, and substantial compensation while your case remains fully confidential. This is your chance to hold those responsible accountable and receive a meaningful financial settlement. So hurry, call our law firm's 100% confidential clergy abuse helpline right now to seek justice and compensation. Call 800-320-9047. That's 800-320-9047. 800-320-9047.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss, even when you monitor your credit. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
Hi, this is Mike Avery, and here's what's coming up this week on Outdoor Magazine. First, Ken Dalton, the pheasant, talks about pheasant hunting in Michigan. Then Kevin Pritchard from Jay's Sporting Goods. In our second hour, Al Stewart talks about upland game bird hunting, plus Justin Tomei from MUCC. And in hour number 3, it's Tim Roller on casting crankbaits for giant king salmon and steelhead in the rivers this fall. Listen Saturday mornings at 6 and Sundays at 9 on WSGW.
From the Premier Kitchen and Bath Gallery Showroom and Design Center Studios, you are listening to 100.5 and 790 WSGW.
This is Kareem sitting in for Art Lewis on the Art Lewis Show. We're in the studio today with two amazing men doing great things in our community. That is none other than Brian Pruitt and Hurley Coleman III. Hurley Coleman III. I love saying your name.
Yeah, isn't it?
Hurley Coleman III. It sounds prestigious.
Oh, thank you, Kareem.
Not prestigious, but prestigious. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Man Up the Return this coming Saturday at Thompson from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We have speakers and fun activities, I think you said. But I think if kids are listening to this program or if they see this, they're going to be excited. Food trucks, you're going to feed them. They get to bounce around, and which has never been a good combination for kids, but somehow kids always want to jump after eating. Parents are concerned. Right. But let's talk about the classes, the types of programs. Do we have specific life lessons that these kids, these young men and these men, whoever comes, are going to be able to walk away with? What are some of those topics that we'll be covering?
So one of the things that I believe we're going to be able to do in this event is we're going to be able to share. This is going to be an icebreaker to open up the doors to the conversation. We'll be able to find out what's going on in their homes, in their lives. There's going to be some time for them to play. There's something that we're going to bring out that I don't think we've ever done at CAC, and that is to rent out a video game trailer. So in this video game trailer, there'll be about 6 TV screens. And while they're playing football or playing basketball, they'll be able to kind of conversate, and we'll be able to lead them into the area where we'll have a formal discussion. And we'll be bringing in speakers such as one you all maybe have heard of, Mr. Julian. He is the owner, CEO, and editor of Swag Magazine. One of our young entrepreneurs, and leaders in our young community. He is a great young man. He'll be joining the stage with Kareem on Straight Talk and talking with the panel. And in that conversation, we'll be able to share. And we know that we won't have it's going to be so much going on between the hours of 10 and about noon. And then we'll be able to bring them in and really start to hear from them. Brian's going to speak to us, and we're going to hear from I'll be speaking. Kareem's going to be speaking. We'll have some other pastors and leaders who will be speaking. Our young people will be speaking and talking and encouraging our young men and our fathers about how to stay engaged and how to be active and how to become better. And this, we hope to be the beginning of something just so amazing in the future.
One of the things I want to make a correction. Kareem will not be speaking.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm not speaking. My goal is to really create a dynamic and an environment for the young people to speak. I'm really going to be listening.
Okay, great.
But the idea is to create an environment that fosters conversation between these young men. You know, it's interesting. You mentioned Julian Taylor from Swag Magazine. I had an opportunity. We were both out at Dow, and he didn't know it. But Dow they gave him a particular award, an award prize for the work that he's been doing. And I think that he was more excited about the ball that he got from A-Rod than he did. He was the money. His mom was like, yes, money. Let's fund this educational process. But he is a young man who uses his pen as his weapon. And I had a conversation with him. I was like, look, you are kind of like one of the emerging leaders for the future. Do you ever have a desire to actually speak? And he's a super articulate young man. So he's someone that I'm actually looking forward to bringing him into one of my shows. And he said that he would co-produce. So giving young people those opportunities is extremely important. Brian, as we think about what this keynote speech is, and I know that you are, man, you can think on your feet and you're very dynamic, being able to read the room. What is the key message that you think these young people need to hear as you begin to engage the room on this coming Saturday?
Yeah, I think the key message is this: to answer the question, who am I? We have a generation of young people who somehow the father's voice, the voice of men, have been silenced. And so we've got a generation of young men who are trying to answer that question for themselves, and they're coming up with the wrong answer. This is the role of men in society. We are here to speak, to tell the next generation who they are, give them some purpose, and give them some direction. There is power and purpose in having a man's voice in your life. And when that voice is silenced, trouble is sure to follow. So we want to answer that question. Who am I? Identity.
What a great way to segue into our next commercial break. We'll take a break. We'll be back with these two gentlemen with more about what's happening with Man Up Reloaded.
We've made some big changes at Westside Decorating. This is Sonia, and I invite you to visit our newly remodeled showroom. We now offer stunning quartz and granite countertops and backsplash tile. Faro and ball paints have arrived in gorgeous colors you won't find anywhere else. Our designers will help you complete the look with our new flooring options. Looking for motorized shades and blinds? Our experts will walk you through the selection process and provide complimentary estimates. Westside Decorating Center at 5789 State Street in Saginaw Township.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried new Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
The back-to-back Big Ten champions are hungry for more.
He's in the clear, to the 10, to the 5,
Yes.
tipped and intercepted.
What a great catch.
Into the blue, touchdown, Wolverines.
Join us this Saturday as Michigan hosts Bowling Green in its final non-conference game of the season. Kickoff is at 7:30, right here on your home for the Wolverines.
Michigan Game Day coverage presented by Lingle Equipment of Saginaw begins at 6:30 on 100.5 FM WSGW.
This is Kareem, and I'm sitting in for Art Lewis on the Art Lewis Show. We are having a conversation here today with Hurley Coleman III from CAC, and Hurley and Brian Pruitt here from Power Dad. Hurley, I want to just kind of ask a question. We've been talking about impacting young men and the importance of fathers and the role that having fathers in the life, the role that it plays in really impacting and targeting and changing the dynamics of violence in communities across the country. I want to ask a simple question. What does success look like when we look at this program that's happening this weekend? What does it look like in your mind?
We want to discover the next set of fathers who can come through the next program. We have, with the funding with the Office of Faith Engagement, Department of Health and Human Services, the opportunity to mentor and train over 50 men and get them the services and all of the wraparound services provided to escalate them to a place of employment, to a place of knowledge and self-awareness. We want to be able to make this event possible to bring them into the next year. And we were successful in getting 56 men through the program year this year. And as we reset in October and prepare to start in the spring of 2024, this will be a springboard to launch the next year's program.
I think that this is phenomenal. So, Brian, as you know, as we've traveled before, one of the keys to success in making any impact in with men is the idea, the concept of collaboration.
Right.
So let's talk about organizations that are part of this collaboration. There's a collaboration that exists here between Power of Dad and CAC, but let's talk about the other organizations. So when these people come in, these kids, these parents, these moms, single moms, grandparents, because we have so many grandparents yet raising children.
Right. Yes, we do.
What are some of the other organizations that we can then make available and make aware for families that are bringing boys or young men to this program?
Well, Kareem, I think this is a great opportunity to talk about an organization that our mayor has, a group of people that our mayor have called together, that we've been coming under one umbrella, and it's called HELP. And that's really neat because what's different about HELP is that it is different organizations within our city who we've basically laid down our egos and our pride and say, you know what, we are better together. How can we come together, use our resources, talents, and abilities, and reach the men and the young men in our city to improve our community? And Kareem, why don't you share a little bit of what's about HELP?
I'll talk a little bit about HELP. I think it's important. One correction: this is not the mayor's organization. There's a lot of people probably saying, wait a minute, did the mayor not call me? But there was a conversation that we had, and I told her that there were a number of men that were interested in seeing an end to the senseless violence that were happening in our community. And these were men who were in the trenches and working and talking and running and dealing with these men, these young boys in a number of ways. And she says, Kareem, if you get the group of men together, she says, we'll work with the police, we'll sanction, we'll work if, you guys have a plan of how that's going to happen. And so HELP, which stands for Healing, Engagement, Love, and Presence, is exactly what these group of men, and these are just community men that are every day in the community, maybe, trash collectors,
Right.
business owners from every single walk of life that have said that they want to bring healing to our community through engagement, through showing young boys what it means to love one another, what it means to love a woman correctly, what it means to love your community. And then by providing presence, people sometimes underestimate the real power and the value of change that being present makes.
That's right.
When I look at what was one of the catalysts for this is that everyone's been saying, why don't we have a press release? Someone else got shot in the city of Saginaw. Why don't we have a press release? And really, how much is a press release going to do? And I know that leaders across the nation coming out of the pandemic, violence has risen just kind of exponentially in cities across the country. And how do we deal with those things? We must be present. Who must be present specifically? You talked about the impact and the numbers. When men are present in communities, violence goes down. So these are men of every walk of life that are stepping back into the frame of life and making their presence known. They're not going out there with guns but really being at places where events are happening. Everything happens on social media. Taking those pages, those informations, finding out what's happening, being present, engaging with individuals. And I think you have a great understanding, Brian, of how male engagement impacts the life of young people. Could you just briefly share? That's what HELP does, but it comes back to engagement. How important is engaging young people important to changing their trajectory in life?
I can speak to that on a personal level. I know for sure personally I was on the wrong road, and because of a elementary school coach who took the time to engage with me, he would begin to take me to different sporting events. And after every sporting event, he would say, someday that's going to be you. Just the fact that he engaged me, believed in me, changed the direction and the course of my life to the fact that eventually I became the kid on the field, just as he said I would become. And everything I became in the world of sports, basically I became that because an adult male, trusted adult male in our community held me accountable and gave me a piece of the pie of his life and time, and it changed my life.
Brian, you have an amazing story about growing up with, I'm trying to figure out how I want to phrase this, with a father. Sometimes we think that if a father is present, that's always a good thing. But sometimes the presence of certain fathers, men who are broken, often leads to them breaking other children. Why don't you share with them how father of dad and your presence has been able to really drive home the fact? What has been your impact on men, on fathers?
On fathers.
Not just boys, but fathers.
I humbly, I will say this. I think we've had an incredible impact on dads. I do a lot of men's conferences and speaking into men's hearts. What you find out is often we're dealing with men who were just like me, men who came from broken situations, and you still need some healing. It's not that you don't want to be a good dad. It's that maybe you didn't see one. Okay, maybe you didn't have one. And we're learning how to do this thing together. Okay, we're the turning page. We're the next chapter. We're the ones who saying, you know what, I know the pain, but I'm not going to pass the pain on. That this thing can change in one generation. It really can.
I think that's so important. Okay, so we have Man Up the Return this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're asking all boys and men to be present for this. Food, fun, fellowship, empowerment, and coaching to be a greater young person. I want to thank the two of you for being a part of this conversation, being here in the studio. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. Thank you, guys.
The Golden Girls are back in an all-new show.
We are busy running a social media empire.
Please, Blanche. You and Rose founded Creakin', a sex app for seniors.
Sophia's been busted by the DEA.
I'm wearing an ankle monitor.
And now the girls are wealthy.
With all this money, what are we going to do with it? Should we buy Twitter?
Shut up, Rose.
Saginaw, your favorite ladies are coming to town September 22nd through the 24th at the Dow Event Center. Get tickets at goldengirlstour.com.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak.
When regional banks close or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This concludes this edition of the Art Lewis Show. This is Kareem Bowen sitting in for Art. We certainly want to thank Brian Pruitt and Hurley Coleman III for joining us on this morning, for sharing with us a little bit about the Man Up Focus program and focusing on the things that are important for young boys and men. Following this is another program called Focus Program. We certainly thank you for time and your attention. Terry Henney's going to come up next. He's out at Michigan State University, the Extension Center, talking about those things that are important, coming up next.
From the Premier Kitchen and Bath Gallery Studios, WSGW, Saginaw, Bay City, Midland, WSGW FM, Carlton,